Una notte a Napoli, con la luna e il mare, ho incontrato un angelo che non poteva più volare. Una notte a Napoli, delle stelle si scordò e anche senza ali in cielo mi portò.
Con lui volando lontano dalla terra, dimenticando le tristezze della sera, in paradiso oltre le nuvole, pazza d'amore come le lucciole. Tempo può durare, quante notti da sognare, quante ore, quanti giorni e carezze infinite. Quando ami da morire, chiudi gli occhi e non pensare, il tempo passa, l'amore scompare, la danza finirà. Una notte
tutto deve finire.
Ma quando il cuore mi ha spezzato ed in cielo mi ha abbandonato, adesso sulla terra son tornata. Mai più riamare mi sono rassegnata.
Ma guardo su.
Quanto tempo può durare, quante notti da sognare, quante ore, quanti giorni e carezze infinite. Quando ami da morire, chiudi gli occhi e non pensare, il tempo passa, l'amore scompare, la danza finirà. Una notte a Napoli, con la luna e il mare, ho incontrato un angelo che non poteva più volare. Una notte a Napoli, delle stelle si scordò e anche senza ali in cielo mi portò, 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 in cielo mi portò.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to No Martini, No Party. This happens to be the last episode, at least of this season.
Boo.
So let's go back to basics a second and read the original prompt before introducing our very special guest. So driving a white Citroën DS in complete darkness, 115 miles an hour, going nowhere. This is what No Martini, No Party aims to evoke in its listeners. The name comes from a 2000s Martini ad which had George Clooney rudely denied entrance into a party for not bringing Martini. Italian liquor, French cars, a promise of international takeover. Everyone is welcome, nobody is judged. Welcoming international guests, they show up. I ask, what makes you happy? What do you eat? What is your country to you? I want to get very technical or very deep, very complicated answers to these questions. I want to see aspects so personal, so subjective, they're bulletproof. Questions and discourse will routinely be interrupted by music of any language, of any sort, with any story. Nobody is watching, but people will listen. It may be uncomfortable, it may be fun, it may be misunderstood, it may even be a hit. Sometimes it takes a few good words to make you happy all week. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce you to this week's guest, Nicholas.
Hello, everyone. I'm Nicholas. You may know me as the last song in all the other radio shows, but today...
All the other episodes of this radio show.
Yes, all the other episodes, but today I get to speak as well, which is exciting.
He has a voice and he has a face. If you want to see it, this hunk studies. Oh no, I shouldn't say what you study. No, I shouldn't. Then people would just flock over to the sports building. No, oh God, I did. Anyway, Nicholas, would you like to introduce yourself and say a couple words about the songs that you brought us today?
So, as is with Martina's show, we are all international guests, and that isn't an exception for me. I am half Czech, half Greek. Greek from my father's side, Czech from my mother's side. I'm international in the way that I've lived in...
I didn't mean that kind of introduction.
Oh,
Nick.
sorry.
What I meant is, would you like to say a couple words on the songs that you've brought us here today? Because I know that you didn't choose them.
Okay. So, 2 songs here. One from my mom and one from my dad. Czech and Greek song. My mom's Czech song, I think she chose Šrouby do hlavy by Alice, was it? Lucia. Is a song she used to listen to during the Velvet Revolution. And they were a very popular Czech band. And I've just looked up tickets for them as well. They're still very popular. I mean, 80 pounds, 40 to 80 pounds per ticket for the O2 Arena. So, I'll tell you that. And then the Greek song my dad chose is by what he claims the best Greek rapper alive. I don't know if I remember his name, Mithridatis, something like that. And the name of the song is... Monoesi, which means only you. And Šrouby do hlavy means screws in your head.
Yeah, man, these 2 songs, I was listening to them earlier, really good. The Greek one, God, it's got, apart from so many name drops, it's just, I mean, I'll let you guys listen, but it was something, man. Anyway, first we have a song by Lucia.
Šrouby do hlavy.
And then the next one is Monoesi. Enjoy.
Šlo už dávno spát, tak si to vem a já ty jsem a mám to vzdát. Dal si hlavu, lámu, mám v ní plno bytí, třetí do hry vstoupil mezi nás a já to vím. Tak co teď s tím? Si vrátit čas. Zná jen tu star, tak to bych zvládl. Znáš mě, já jsem blázen, málo kdo mě schrotí. Já si na třetího nechci hrát, tak čert ho vem. Teď já tu jsem, jak žhavej drát. Zná jen pár fíglů, jak se valej holkám zruby do hlavy. Pár známej fíglů, ty mu na to skočíš, za pár dní to chlapkám opraví. Zná jen pár fíglů, jak se valej holkám zruby do hlavy. Pár známej fíglů, já tu ve tmě házím zapálený sirky do trávy.
Τις δικές μου τις βραδιές θα ξυπνάς, μα κατάλληλες σκηνές μόνο εσύ. Στα όνειρά μου θα γυρνάς μόνο εσύ που μ' αγαπάς.
Στον ύπνο σου σαν έρχομαι σου δίνω τυπωθείς. Μπορείς σαν Blade Runner ακόμα να με δεις. Και εσύ γυναίκα ρεπλικά που σαν τρελή με θέλεις. Να παίζει το λαφθίν για μας ο Βαγγέλης. Με τη μορφή της πάχνης σαν το Δρακουλέοντα. Με τους κοινόδοντες να κάνω στο λαιμό σου έρωτα. Εγώ Κονάνο βάρβαρος και εσύ Αμαζόνα. Ο θέλος της δαιμόνα μέσα σε δακρυγόνα. Ήσουν Τσιτσιολίνα κι εγώ Τζεφ Κούνς. Και κάναμε πικνίκ μ' όλα τα Looney Tunes. Σε φώναζα Λέβη και με έλεγες αλήτη. Καθώς σου έσπρωχνα το κεφτέ με τη μύτη. Μπορώ να γίνω King Kong, να έχω την παλάμη μου για σένα σε σλόγγ. Κάνω τον ύπνο σου Nirvana. Είμαι κάτι σαν το Freddy Krueger Laverman.
Τις δικές μου τις βραδιές θα ξυπνάς, μα κατάλληλες σκηνές μόνο εσύ. Στα όνειρά μου θα γυρνάς μόνο εσύ που μ' αγαπάς.
Στον ύπνο σου με είδες ομορφάνδρα ο Σαν. Michael Knight στο βολάν της ασφάλτου Don Juan. Να πιάνουμε το beat στο πίσω κάθισμα του kit. Μετά ήμουν Αχιλλέα στο ρόλο του Brad Pitt. Να ταράξει στο κοκπίτ σε αεροπλανέτο. Εσύ κι εγώ τσοπέι πρεκουλέτο. Ήσουν η Γκουίνεβερ κι εγώ σε Λανσελότ. Στη στρογγυλή την τράπεζα έπεφτε λαβελότ. Σαν το Μικη Ρούρκ στις 9,5 εβδομάδες. Σε ταΐζω από το ψυγείο αισθησιακά ντολμάδες. Ό,τι κάνουμε και τρίο με το τσιμιτσέλι. Να τρώμε τσιμιτσάγκας να σαλίφουμε με μέλι. Των ορέξεων σου γνώστης, γλυκιά μου δουλτσινέα, είμαι ο Δον Κιχώστης. Της ονείροξης μπαχάρι και στα πόδια σου ανάμεσα σφυγεί στο μαξιλάρι.
Τις δικές μου τις βραδιές θα ξυπνάς, μα κατάλληλες σκηνές μόνο εσύ. Στα όνειρά μου θα γυρνάς μόνο εσύ που μ' αγαπάς. Μόνο εσύ. Τις δικές μου τις βραδιές θα ξυπνάς, μα κατάλληλες σκηνές μόνο εσύ. Στα όνειρά μου θα γυρνάς μόνο εσύ που μ' αγαπάς. Μόνο εσύ, μόνο εσύ, μόνο εσύ.
And we're back. Nick, I love your Irena Diamantis. Thank you so much for these songs, for these recommendations. I'm gonna have to look more into Lucia and the best rapper in Greece. That song, I read the translation before coming here, and I just thought that it was just so golden. Between the name drops and the references, the song is iconic. I mean, Diamantis, thank you. And it's really interesting, like the fact of like the Velvet Revolution, and especially like in Prague, and I don't know, just fangirling over your parents' choices, and also the last song of the night is a really big surprise. I'm really looking forward to this episode if it wasn't clear already. Anyway, Nick, you're a very special guest. Apart from being the last song of every episode since last year, you're also a very interesting case subject when it comes to nationalities and when it comes to, languages and cultures.
Well, I'm glad you think so.
Well, of course I think so. But I'm also very biased.
Hmm.
But, Nick, I know that when it comes to you, it's a very complicated question. But, just to give the audience a gist, where do you come from?
So, like I was saying before, what happens to me, where I come from is technically Czech Republic and Greece. But I have lived in 6 different countries, which does confuse some people, because then they ask me what feels like home. And that in itself, I say Prague, but not because I am Czech, only because I've lived there the longest. And during my, from middle school to graduation, essentially when I gained that independence. So I don't really remember anywhere else apart from snippets. And I am Czech, and I do feel like Prague is my home. So, luckily for me, I can say that as my simple answer, but I know for some other people, it's a bit more complicated.
Oh, of course. I mean, when it comes to, it is very complicated, because where have you lived, throughout your life?
So, my parents were living in Singapore, and then they decided to fly back to the Czech Republic to give birth to me. And they lived with my grandmother. If I remember, it was because they just wanted the Czech passport, and they wanted to be with the family, first child, But my brother, they didn't do that. He was born in Singapore. Then we moved after 2 years, to South Korea. Then after another 2 years, we were in England. After 4 years, we moved to Ireland, in Dublin. We stayed there only 7 months. Then we were in Barcelona for 2 years in Spain. And then finally in Prague, 8, 9 years, I don't even remember, I have to count.
If you could go back to any of these countries, what country would you go back to? To live, or to just, see again, reminisce?
Well, I have been back to Singapore since leaving. I haven't with South Korea or with Dublin, but I'd have to say it would be Barcelona, only because I had some pivotal transitions in my life, and whether it be sport or socially or this kind of thing. And I have most of my memories before Prague are from Barcelona, and I've only been back once, maybe 2 years after moving, and I haven't been back since. And I still have some of my classmates on Instagram and everything, and I'm seeing what they're doing, and I'm seeing what the city is like, and I just don't remember it at all, so I want to go back and explore.
Oh, it'll be really interesting. It was really, really adorable to see you speak to my Peruvian, Nana, when you met her last year, with a mixture of Italian and Spanish. Because at the end of the day, all Spanish is Italian with an extra S.
Well, the thing was, I was very good at Spanish, but after 6 months of not speaking a language to anybody, you forget it. And I think some people will understand this, others won't. But seriously, not a word for 6 months, and it was all completely gone. And I continued doing it in school. I just couldn't catch it again.
You somehow managed to remember it when you try and speak Italian. You just mix terms. It's beautiful because you just amplify. You just further your vocabulary by just taking S's away from Spanish words. But talking about education, talking about language, you've always frequented international schools. Do you regret that? I mean, not from an educational standpoint, but maybe to be more like integrated within the city. And to that point, do you value integration?
So, the first part of if I regret going to international schools, it's going to sound very like, but I didn't choose to go to international schools. I know. I'm so spoiled. But, there was not really a choice, especially in Southeast Asia. I didn't, especially Korea. Singapore was, English is very common, but in South Korea, no one spoke English. So I didn't really, the family didn't really have a choice except putting me in an English-speaking school, which at the time, the only one available that we wanted to go to was an international school with all the expats and immigrants who went there. And then this trend continued in England when I went to another international school. I don't remember the reason why I didn't go into a public English school, but I think it has to do just with the quality of education that you get. Not to say that public English schools are bad, but for where we were located, the international school is a better option. And fortunately, the company was going to pay for my education. And why would you say no to that? It's a fantastic education to have. I've had a really, really good education, and I have gone through international schools up until Prague. And I don't feel like I've been separated from the country I've been in, probably because there have been locals in the international school, and I've just learned to value way more an international environment. I think it's much more, it's a modern way of socializing, it's a modern way of learning, and in a modern world, you're going to have everyone from everywhere. So why wouldn't you have that in an educational experience?
So you feel like you were part of an international community anyway, and despite being in an international school. I'm asking this because international schools, at least in my eyes, are just English schools with just more diversity. I don't know how the English system is or how the American system is, because I went to an American school in Rome, AOSR.
I did in England.
Yeah, no, American schools. But yeah, no, the question was, were you part of an international community anyway, despite, being in an international school?
Well, I felt like I was, yeah.
What about you is particularly Czech? What about you is particularly Greek? Apart from that nose and those two brows.
Well, the only other Greek part about me is my name. Very stereotypical. I am the John Smith of Greece.
Nikolaos Sotirios.
Ikonomou, yes. It sounds nicer in Greek. Nikolaos Sotirios Ikonomou.
Oh.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't even know that was my Greek name until I got my Greek passport. So, yeah, I am definitely a fake Greek. I have a Greek grandmother who understands that I haven't had any cultural experience, or
you've had gyros and you've gotten out of the Greek military. I think you're Greek enough.
Yeah, so she does her best to promote speaking Greek, reading Greek, telling me about the history and about the culture. In terms of being Czech, my entire extended family is all half Czech, half Greek as well. So in terms of my dad's side, my uncle's wife is Czech. Not the same on my mom's side, where my auntie, the whole family is Czech, but even they've started learning Greek. So it's just these two cultures. And even the entire family, we always do the Czech traditions. We do Christmas on the 24th, Easter traditions, holiday traditions, national holidays. It helps that we live in the country as well, but even when we were abroad, we were following the Czech practices. I've definitely been exposed to much more of my Czech side of my family, especially living in Prague, obviously. So this has been a contributing factor. But, I've grown up with a Czech mom, doing all the Czech things. The only thing is that I just don't understand or know the history or remember all of these traditions that we do. Sometimes, even on my name day, I'm reminded by my grandma or my mom, depending on which nationality's name day it is. So, yeah.
Well, that's really interesting. It's almost like double the presents based on your Czech or your Greek side. No, I think it's really interesting. I think a lot of our can guess some listeners can relate to, the double nationality and stuff, and, having a family that wants you to be more of one than the other. Is anyone in your family resentful, do you think, of your unnationality? That you're not one particular nationality instead of another? You're not particularly Greek, you're not particularly Czech?
No, nobody's resentful. I mean...
And, resentful with the biggest air quotes.
No, of course. My Greek grandmother worked in the embassy, so she was also quite international in job relocation, and that translated to my dad, who had left Greece at, I think it was either 3 or 5, and he hasn't lived in Greece since. So he grew up internationally as well. So he understood it he understands what I'm going through, the effects of internationalism. Even he also lived in Prague when he was a teenager and learned Czech. So for him, Czech culture isn't resentful to at all. Even I think he was a teenager when in Prague. So just as I hit those developmental milestones in Prague, so did he. And I think that impacts you the most with cultural identity. My mother wasn't allowed out of the country during the communist regime, but when the Soviets left, she was able to travel, and being, under the rock of an Eastern Bloc country, she was always passionate and interested about learning about, what was outside of the curtain.
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's really interesting, especially considering the different backgrounds that your parents have. Between one is, communist isolationism, and then the other case, it's the openness of the Greek, who are known for their hospitality. When it comes to Italians, what the Greeks say with the Italians, una faccia, una razza. God, that film and Yaya is chef's kiss. But what do you identify as? I mean, nationality-wise, do you agree with what's on your passport? Do you think that nationality and national sentiment, not nationalism, is circumscribed to where you or your parents are from?
So when I'm in the Czech Republic, I tell everyone I'm Greek, and then vice versa.
To remove any sense of responsibility.
Yeah, the biggest thing comes down to language. I'm not fluent in both. I can, get around perfectly fine, but it's very obvious that I'm a foreigner. So I just play that card so that I don't get any resentment from the locals. But I'm very happy that I have a Greek and Czech passport, and I do feel Greek and Czech. I wouldn't say that I am the best example of a Greek or Czech, but I don't think it takes away from the fact that this is what I call home, culturally.
No, I totally agree. That's the same thing that I do here in England when I'm studying English, but then I go, English, I'm not mother tongue, I'm Italian. Then in Italy they go, oh, Martina, how can we get mad at you when your mother tongue is American and stuff like that? Because I feel Italian, and when I'm abroad, especially around English speakers, I become, stereotypically Italian, which brings people to say you're my first Italian with the sort of Hannibal Lecter glare in their eyes, not glaze. Anyway, we're going to cut to break now, and then we're going to go to part 2, which will focus on, I'm not going to spoil it, but the next 2 songs are What You Won't Do for Love by Bobby Caldwell and Allo Allo Marciano by Elis Regina. Enjoy.
Guess you wonder where I've been. I searched to find the love within. I came back to let you know. Got a thing for you, and I can't let go. My friends wonder what is wrong with me. Well, I'm in a daze from your love, you see. I came back to let you know. Got a thing for you, and I can't let go. Some people go around the world for love, but they may never find but you don't give up. In my world, only you make me do for love what I would not do. My friends wonder what is wrong with me. Well, I'm in the daze from your love, you see. I came back to let you know, got a thing for you, and I can't let go. Oh, I only want the best, it's true. I can't believe the things I do for you. What you won't do for love. You've tried everything, but you won't give up. In my world, only you made me do for love what I would not do. Made me do for love what I would not do. Make me do for love what I would not do. Make me do for love what I would not do.
imagina a loucura. O ser humano tá na maior fissura, porque tá cada vez mais down no high society. Down, down, 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 down. Alô, alô, marciano, a crise tá virando sonar. Cada um por si, todo mundo na lona. E lá se foi a mordomia. Tem muito rei aí pedindo alforria, porque tá cada vez mais down no high society. Down, down, 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 down. coisa tá ficando russa. Muita patrulha, muita bagunça. O muro começou a pichar. Tem sempre um ayatollah pra tolar. Ah lá, tá cada vez mais down the high society. Down, down, 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 down. Alô, alô, marciano. Aqui quem fala é da terra. Pra variar, estamos em guerra. Você não me imagina a loucura. O ser humano tá na maior fissura. Porque tá cada vez mais down no high society. Down, down, down no high society. Down, down, down no high society. Gente fina é outra coisa, entende? Down, 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 down no high society. Down, 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 down no high society. Hoje não se fazem mais countries como antigamente, né? High society, high society, high society, high society. Down, 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 down the high society. Down, 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 down the high society. Ai, que chique é o jazz, meu Deus. Hey, down, down, down the high society. Down, down, down.
Sorry for that little blip there. And we're back for part 2, Nick. How have you been enjoying, being a guest, for the first time? How are you finding that?
Very cool, guys. I get to wear the headphone. There's a big microphone in front of me. We even have a little red light, so I'm feeling very pro.
You're feeling very pro, aren't you? I wanted to ask you, after all those questions before and your stellar answers, would you like to be more of something? More Czech or more Greek? Do you feel like you're a citizen of the world, or do you feel like you're just simply...
Definitely not a citizen of the world. I definitely don't feel like a citizen of the world, only because I know so little about the world. But it shifts. In summer, I like to think I'm Greek. I like to think I'm more Greek. I know that there's that saying, or that people ask you, you know what your native tongue is if you think in that language. No, sometimes over summer, I'm thinking a bit more in Greek, especially like...
I'm sorry, you think?
Yeah. When I don't have any schoolwork in my head and it's just relaxed, I have space for thinking.
Oh, Madonna.
But during the summer, I like to be more Greek, and then during every other season, I like to be more Czech. Czechs are a bit more reserved, a bit more quiet, a bit more critical, and I think that reflects upon me much more. Apart from summer, where it's like, chillax, bro, let go, no problems, it's summer, da-da. But everywhere else, it's, none of that.
Where do you see the future looking for, people like us, people who don't subscribe to one nationality? Because of all the episodes that I've had, this question was perhaps the one missing from the most.
Well, it's a simple question that can have I view, a complicated answer. If we consider two paths, one is obviously the positive of people like us who are a bit more international than I guess the average international.
I mean, yeah, the question basically relates, do you think it's good that the further on we go, the less plain we'll be? That our bibliographies will include so many countries and so many nationalities.
I mean, obviously, yes. Every language is a new world. Every culture is a new door. The more you know and learn about others and other perspectives, of course, it's going to make you more international citizen, a better global citizen. I think a much more intelligent citizen from the fact that you can adopt and accept so many viewpoints. But then there's the other half of, because you are a bit of everything and sort of nothing, that might, not scare some people, but might get you to be pushed away from certain communities. I can say for here in the UK, it's been a little difficult integrating with English students, especially, I think one of your past guests said it. They always talk about, some kind of English reference, some kind of inside joke, something that's culturally happening. I'm sure that's the same for
most nationalities.
for most.
Yeah.
I've only had experience. I'm saying it because I've only had experience with it here. Being able to have random conversations with strangers on a regular basis. I just don't know what they're talking about. I don't know how to be included. And at a certain point, you kind of just, I gave up because I only have 3 years here. So, and I have another group of friends who I don't have that pressure with. So I gave up entirely. And I think that might be a problem in the future for others who, for example, if you take it on a cultural scale, might be a minority.
No, I mean, with Brexit especially, like, kids that come here from Europe, are going to be much, much less, considering that, it's going to go up, more than 50% to study here? I mean, we pay European fees, which are like, house fees, £9,250. And it's going to get to the point where, it's going to be international fees, which is what, 20K?
Yeah, and the UK are going to lose a lot of international students.
I mean, they have already, because we're the last generation that got in with normal fees.
And that's probably bad for the school in general, not only money-wise, but, the school is always trying to promote diversity, not in just the alumni, but in critical thinking. And without having that, without your students pushing that agenda, you're going to end up having the school might go a bit backwards than where it's going now.
Mm. So you were saying earlier about travel and about language. And so I wanted to ask you, how and how much do you think travel enriches us, and how much do you think it takes away? I mean, if it makes sense. Takes away from being more of one thing. I'm asking this because I do believe that there is merit in staying home and having your friends and never leaving, to know a city like your pockets and know people as if they were your own blood, as long as it's a choice.
So if we're talking about traveling as in living, then it's difficult to say. I definitely feel jealous of people who can go back home and the whole community knows them, and they are, the local there. They know how it works. They know the guy at the bar. They know the people in the street. It's always romanticized in movies and such. But I went to visit a friend, and they had exactly that situation. When I told them about my jealousy, they said they were jealous of me because they've been doing, absolutely nothing the entire time they've been living there, and they've been forced to develop all their relationships with the community. Whereas I, on the other hand, they said I was on the romanticized side where, exploring, traveling, seeing doing different lives per different country, and
Are you like Joe Goldberg, just changing personality everywhere you go? Am I seeing the English personality?
I don't understand that reference, but probably yes. So it depends on. This is a very subjective viewpoint, but there's the good and the bad with everything. And I can say now, after hearing both sides, I'm definitely more grateful that I'm definitely less jealous that I don't have like a headquarters where I can go back to. For me, I've realized that you're not missing that much if you don't have such a locked down neighborhood and community in your hometown. You can always develop these communities in other places. It's just up to you to see how much you want. Depending on how much you really want it, you can create those connections.
Yeah, I agree. I think that especially in these 3 years, we do have sort of a good, close-knit group of individuals and friends and people that we do know around. I remember when we went back to Lagis and they recognized us, which was really nice. But yeah, we're going to cut to another musical break before some final words. This next song is kindly recommended by our housemate Owen, and it's Is You by Overmono.
Hello me, you like to me, your smile. Hello me, you like to be. Hello me, you like to me, your smile. Hello me, you next to me. Hello me, you like to me, your smile. Hello me, you like to be. Hello me, you like to me, your smile. Hello me, you next to me. Hello me, you like to me, your smile. Hello me, you like to be. Hello me, you like to me, your smile. Hello me, you next to me. Hello me, you like to me, your smile. Hello me, you like to be. Hello me, you like to me, your smile. Hello me, you next to me. All I don't want is you. Hello me, you like to be. All I don't want is you. You next to me. Hello me, you like to me, your arms. Hello me, you like to be. Hello me, you like to me. Hello me, you next to me. All I don't want is you. All I don't want is you. All I want is you. All I want is you.
And we're back for some final words from our lovely guest. Nick, it's been great to have you on. Here's my last question. Where do you see yourself? And take this question as you will. I mean, where do you see yourself in the future? Where do you see yourself in what we've been talking about till now, you know, this international clima? I'm asking you, this Nick, at the ripe old age of 21, on this 21st of March 2023. You can change your mind tomorrow, in a month, or in a year, but where do you see yourself?
Well, hopefully employed afterwards, but employed where? Doing what? I have no idea. And I'm very open to anything, really. I don't have
As long as you're employed.
Yeah, I don't have a preference on location or anything like that. I mean, I'd be more excited to move around, one of my applications was to a position that required 200 plus days of travel, and that was something that I was really looking forward to. Fortunately, it didn't work out, but I'd like to see myself in a position where I would be able to, where I would have the opportunity to experience. I don't think I'd like that for my entire life. I'm sure that could lead to a bit of burnout, but while I'm young and have energy, this is something I hope could happen.
That's a really good answer. I mean, exactly. The main thing is to just be employed and have enough money to build ties with the community and to, give back.
Travel isn't cheap.
Travel definitely is not cheap. Except for Ryanair. No, I'm not. This program is not sponsored by Ryanair, unfortunately. But yeah, this last song, unfortunately, isn't yours, isn't for you. Amore mio. This goes out to another Economo brother, Christian. And it's Deixa pra lá by Bossa Cucanova.
I'd like to say I gave them permission for the last song, so it's still my decision, still my last song, technically.
Oh my god, I can see just the hierarchy amongst you brothers. How...
I am the oldest for anyone. Oldest, smartest, most handsome, sexy, favorite child.
There's nobody here to prove you wrong. So here it is. Christian, ciao, all the way from Birmingham. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for following me up until now. I know that some of you have been listening to me since last May, and some of you may be new, and some of you may, just listen to me once. But, thank you so much. This has been a real pleasure to have this program. And if this does end up being the last episode, I'm getting a little teary-eyed, so I'm just going to play the song right now. And have a great night. Yeah. Well, Kalinikta. Good night.
Arrivederci.
Se teu amor falou que não vai mais voltar,
Deixa pra lá,
se você ficou em último lugar,
deixa pra lá,
se tudo começou na hora de acabar,
deixa pra lá,
se você não passou nesse vestibular,
deixa pra lá,
deixa que essa vida um dia muda. Você tem que se assumir, e se o próprio amigo o acusa, você deve resistir. Se já não tem viola pra lhe acompanhar,
deixa pra lá,
se nesse ano a escola não vai desfilar,
deixa pra lá,
se você pediu tanto e ninguém quis lhe dar,
deixa pra lá,
se também fez um canto pra ninguém gostar,
deixa pra lá,
deixa que essa fase é passageira. Amanhã será melhor e você vai ver que a cidade inteira seu samba sabe de cor. Se você quer sereste, já não tem luar. Se você foi à festa e não pôde dançar, se a sua companheira já não quer lhe dar aquele amor antigo que só faz vibrar,
deixa pra lá.
se você tem ideia e não pôde falar, se faltou com a plateia e ninguém quis ligar, se você foi à feira e não pôde comprar, porque o dinheiro é pouco pra poder gastar, deixa que essa vida um dia muda. Você tem que se assumir, e se o próprio amigo o acusa, você deve resistir. Se você quer sereste, já não tem luar. Se você foi à festa e não pôde dançar, se a sua companheira não fez seu jantar, porque foi pra Portela saracotear, deixa, não perturbe a sua vida. Carnaval falou.